In this video, we're gonna look at some of the worst and best mistakes in history, ones that still have effects today. These mistakes in history had huge effects. For this list, we're gonna look at the mistakes and accidents in history that had the biggest effects. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we'll be counting down on our choices of the top 10 human mistakes that changed the history forever. Before we start our countdown, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get all the latest news. Number 10. Forgetting about the time zone hamstrung the Bay of Pigs invasion. During the Cold War, the US supported a number of coup d'etats in other countries. Several of these were successful in putting in place new governments, but the one in Cuba was a huge failure. Worried about the Prime Minister Fidel Castro's communist policies, the CIA planned the infamous Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, sending Cuban counter-revolutionaries to the country's southwestern coast. But the world found out that the US was involved when a B-26 bomber painted to look like a Cuban plane was too obvious. This made President Kennedy pull back air support. A few days later, a last-ditch bombing raid that took off from Nicaragua failed because the bombers were caught without the fighter jets that were supposed to protect them. Someone had forgotten that Nicaragua and Cuba are 1 hour apart, which was embarrassing. Number 9. Fleming left bacteria out on his bench. Alexander Fleming, a Scottish doctor and a brilliant researcher. He is best known for his work on bacteria, as well as this accident discovery. In 1928, when Fleming was studying the bacteria Staphylococcus, he left culture plates on bench in his workshop. When he came back, he saw that the dish had grown fungus. The bacteria had been wiped out in the areas close to the fungus. Penicillin, the first drug used to treat infections, was made because of the mold. If Fleming hadn't made a mistake, the history of medicine in the last 100 years would have been very different, and many people who are alive today may have been died instead. Number 8. Someone in Constantinople forgot to lock a gate. By the 1450s, the Byzantine Empire, which was the last part of the Roman Empire to stay together, was mostly just a few islands in Constantinople, its capital. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire put the city under siege, which lasted 53 days. Even though the Ottomans were more numerous and had better cannons, Constantinople's defenses probably would have been broken eventually. However, the city wouldn't have fallen as quickly if someone hadn't left the small gate called the Cockups open. About 50 of the invaders were able to get inside the city and put up their flag on the wall. This scared the defenders and made it easy for the Ottomans to beat them. Number 7. A B-Day caused D-Day to fail. On June 6, 1944, the Allies started a huge plan to take back Western Europe. The first landing took place on the beaches of Normandy, France. This is known as D-Day. Even though there were a lot of deaths, the operations gave the Allies a foothold that helped them win the war on the Western Front. But things could have gone wrong in a very different direction. Erwin Rommel, the Germans' best general, was in charge of protecting the Atlantic Wall from an attack. But he decided to take a break because his wife's birthday was on the 6th and German meteorologists had wrongly predicted storms for the next few weeks, making it unlikely that they would invade by sea. If Rommel had been in charge, the Allies might not have been able to get a beachhold to start taking back France. Number 6. Russia sold Alaska. During the 19th century, the Crimean War caused many countries to block Russia's sea routes as a way to put pressure on them. Because of this, they couldn't get enough supplies to Alaska, which was their largest overseas territory. To make up for this, in 1867 Russia sold the land to the US for $7.2 million. Even though it may have seemed like a good idea at the time, many people now think it was a mistake because the gold and oil found in Alaska are worth a lot more than that they were sold for. Not only that, but if Russia had a foothold in North America, the Cold War would have gone in a very different direction. Number 5. The Berlin Wall fell because of a hastily made public announcement. The Berlin Wall was a sad reminder of the divide between East and West Germany and the Iron Curtain as a whole. It was built to stop people from leaving in large numbers from the communist East to the democratic West. But it all fell apart much faster than anyone thought because an East German official wasn't ready. On November 9, 1989, a text about new travel allowances was given to Gunnar Schabowski. He didn't have time to read it before his press conference though. He didn't say that the East Germans could apply to cross the border the next day. Instead, He said that people could cross the border right away. This made a lot of people rush to the wall very quickly. Since the guards didn't want to shoot, they let them through, and the rest is history. Number 4. Hitler's invasion of Russia. During World War I, a British soldier saved the life of the future Führer. This was a huge mistake, but we would say that Adolf Hitler's biggest mistake was one that he made himself. Hitler signed a peace treaty with Russia, but he still thought Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union as his enemies. Russia was invaded by the Germans in June 1941. Even though the Germans sent the largest invasion force in history, they were not ready for the Soviets' scorched earth tactics or the harsh Russian winter, and over 500,000 of them died. The offensive split and thinned out the German forces got Russia on the side of the Allies, which probably cost Hitler the war. Number 3. World War I began because of a wrong turn. The killing of Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand is one of the most well-known killings of all time. It's usually thought to have started World War I, but some people might not know is that it could have been stopped if they hadn't taken the wrong turn. The same group had already tried to kill the Archduke with a bomb while he was visiting Sarajevo. On the way back, the Archduke drivers who spoke Czech didn't understand their directions for a new route and took a wrong turn. When they stopped to get their bearings, they were right next to one of the killers, who pulled out a gun and killed both Ferdinand and his wife. Number 2. Hiroshima and Nagasaki may have been bombed because of one press conference. In 1945, when Nazi Germany had been defeated, the Allies demanded that Japan give up without any conditions. At a press conference, the Japanese Prime Minister Suzuki Kantor answered with a phrase that included the word mokusatsu, which mean ignore or treat with silent contempt. He also said that Japan would fight on. Even though it was clear that Japan couldn't win the war, the military was against disarming completely, and the government wanted to know what would happen to the emperor. Suzuki's words may have been taken as more extreme than they meant to be. Either way, the US dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki after this conference, killing up to 200,000 civilians. Number 1. Christopher Columbus was bad at math. For a long time, this Italian explorer was seen as hero and the person who discovered the Americas. People are now paying a lot more attention to how badly he treated native people, but his most famous accomplishments, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean to find Asia, happened because he thought the Earth was a lot smaller than it really is. He came to this conclusion by putting together a bunch of different estimates and his own wrong ideas. If Spain didn't need spices so badly, he probably wouldn't have even gotten one ship, much less the 3. Thanks for watching. We really hope that you have a good time viewing this video. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment area down below. Also, if you want to see more interesting videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to click the bell button so you can stay up to date on all of our newest uploads.